There's a gentleman running for the House of Representatives from the 21st District of Texas. If you listen to this program, you know who he is. His name is Chip Roy. He's a dear friend of mine, but even more than that, is a solid constitutional/Reagan conservative. And there are many tough races in Texas, and this is one. This is very close in this district, the 21st District in Texas. And I've asked him to come on. And Chip Roy, how are you, my friend?
Mark, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. It's great to hear from you, my friend.
I wanted to ask you, Chip, a number of things, but let's begin with the Kavanaugh situation here. You were chief of staff to Ted Cruz at one point. You've seen this. Well, you haven't seen this, but you've seen how the Democrats can operate in the Senate. What's your take on this?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I mean, this is a perfect example of what's wrong with Washington, why people outside of the Beltway are scratching their head looking at this complete chaos. You know, I was a lawyer on the Senate Judiciary Committee, you probably remember, and lived through a number of nominations, John Roberts, Sam Alito, and many other district court and circuit court fights. And I've never seen anything quite like this. And let's not kid ourselves. This was all strategic. This was all purposeful. When I was on the Senate Judiciary Committee, we had a process for dealing with issues like this. You did it behind closed doors. You did it on a nonpartisan basis. You got together to sort it out and then deal with it in private and then figure out how to proceed. But they abandoned that. They did it for political purposes. It's nakedly political. And, frankly, I think maybe they've overplayed their hand and the American people are starting to see it so long as a few senators don't wimp out.
Yeah, and what about this? There's no presumption of innocence, and, of course, we should call in the FBI to do an investigation. Joe Biden took the exact opposite position on those two issues in 1991.
No, that's right, and I think the whole idea that they are willing to throw overboard the rule of law and the presumption of innocence for a naked political play is something that I think should give all of us great concern. But again, I'm feeling it out here. I'm feeling people starting to wake up and say, hold on a second. These guys are not representing me. I'm seeing a lot of people that are traditionally not necessarily Republicans or conservatives that are kind of saying, look, these guys, they don't represent us at all. They're trying to throw overboard the things that made this country great. So I'm hopeful that they'll see the right path forward. But I can tell you this, if Republicans blow this, then there will be real hell to pay in November. Voters are fed up. They want Washington Republicans to stand up and finally do what they said they would do.
You're a dear friend of Ted Cruz, as am I. I have a stepson who works for Ted Cruz. Mm-hmm. But I was a friend of Ted Cruz's for 20 years. And a friend, and he's quite solid. And what do you make of this, the restaurant in Washington, D.C., where he and his wife are really physically accosted by this mob?
Well, I think it demonstrates the extent to which the progressive, socialist, liberal left, whatever you want to call it, whatever labels they choose to put on themselves, are so out of touch with the American people and so indicative of everything that's wrong with Washington. Senator Cruz has been fighting for the people of Texas to do what he said he would do when he went to Washington. And for the left to go accost him and his wife at a restaurant is so far out of bounds that, frankly, even on social media today, I was noticing a lot of people that were, again, more moderates or liberals that were saying, guys, this is over the top. Again, I think they're overplaying their hand. But, they're threatening Senator Cruz, threatening his family. And that's something that's so far out of touch with the people of Texas. And I think that's why you saw his opponent, Mr. O'Rourke, put out some social media saying, yeah, that's not good. We shouldn't do that. We should leave Senator Cruz and his family alone. And, those aren't Texas values, I can assure you. People in Texas wouldn't take kindly to being interrupted in their restaurant like that.
But we all know, however, don't we, that Beto O'Rourke would be voting for Schumer to be the leader of the Democrats in the Senate, that he would be participating with the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee doing the character assassination thing. He's a leftist. But I want to talk about your race now. It's crucially important that we elect conservative movement leaders with decades of backgrounds that can reassure us that they're going to be solid in this battle in the House of Representatives. We may well lose the House. It may be very, very ugly. More the reason to make sure states like Texas and other conservative states, and particularly in your district, the 21st District, that we put somebody like you in this position. Tell us a little more about you and your opponent.
Absolutely. Well, Mark, I think people who have listened to your show know that I'm a proud Texan. My family came here in 1851. My great-great-grandfather was a Texas Ranger. My grandma was a single mom in West Texas raising my polio-stricken father after her husband had died of cancer. And she didn't look for handouts. She figured out how to take care of herself, work herself out, became the first woman elected county clerk in a small town in Texas. Those are the Texas values that make this state great. That's the reason why 1,000 people a day are moving to Texas. But unfortunately, we're being attacked. Our Texas values are under assault from a crazy left. The left that's supporting Beto O'Rourke, the left that is supporting my opponent, Joseph Kopser, and their values are fully out of step with the people of Texas. Let's just give you a couple little tidbits. My opponent, who tries to claim as being a centrist, supports impeachment of President Trump, supports government-run health care, supports undoing the tax bill that put more money in our pockets, wants a carbon tax, wants a financial transaction tax, wants to take away Border Patrol assets and give them to foreign countries. And if I could go down the list, wants to fund Planned Parenthood, wants to do a gun confiscation and have more gun regulations. None of these values are in step with our beliefs. They believe that they can win this election on the back of the chaos of the midterms. But the fact is, nothing that they stand for is in sync with the people of Texas. And so we're doing our job, working hard to knock doors, make phone calls, raise money. My website's chiproy.com. Do everything we need to do to put ads up on the air and make sure people know what's really going on with both Mr. O'Rourke, my opponent, and frankly some of the others. Mr. O'Rourke raised $9 million in August through Act Blue. He's got money coming from all over the country. My opponent's getting some of that too. And it's not reflecting Texas values. It's Hollywood values and California and New York values.
Mm-hmm. Now, your opponent served in the military. Is that correct?
He did, and I thank him for his service, but I just as soon his public service end right there.
Yeah, because he was carefully, targeted and found by the Democrats, so he can say that he served in the military, but he's a leftist, isn't he?
No question about it. He likes to talk about reaching across the aisle and figuring out how to work together. But go back and look at the yard signs that he put out during the primaries, progressives for Joseph Kopser. Those are all indications of where he's really coming from. And like I said, I went through the list of issues. You would think it's because my crack staff has done a lot of Oppo research. No. Go look at his website. First, go to my website and look at chiproy.com and give me some money to help me win this race. But his website outlines all of those things about which we disagree and the things I just outlined. And it's real, right? I mean, government-run health care, what he calls Medicare for all. You and I both know that would cost $40 trillion. Bankrupt our...
It would bankrupt the nation faster than it's already being bankrupted.
Absolutely. And it would destroy Medicare as it currently exists. It wouldn't do anything to help people with pre-existing conditions because it would put us on waiting lists and make us have rationed care from government bureaucrats telling us exactly what health care we can get and what we can't get. We know how to solve this problem. And frankly, you and I also know that the problem is that Republicans haven't been doing what they said they would do, and that's why so many people are frustrated. The wrong path to go down is to take that out by going down and trying to support a socialist. Rather, let's follow the lead of a president who's shaking up the status quo in Washington, taking on the swamp, and let's go make sure that we get health care freedom, secure our border, get a strong economy, give our men and women the tools they need, and then get Washington the heck out of the way and let Texas be Texas.
Now, Jim Jones has endorsed you. Jim Jordan is what I'm saying. Jim Jordan has endorsed you. Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Mark Meadows, and folks who are reliably solid and conservative are very much hoping that you'll win this race. How does it look?
Look, we feel good. We've been looking at numbers that give us a lot of confidence that if we do our job and finish the race and run through the tape, we're going to be in good shape. But that's all contingent on getting continued support from conservatives around the country. We've had a grassroots campaign from the beginning. We've had thousands and thousands of supporters from Texas, from this district, including some from your audience from Texas and around the country. And we're so blessed to have that. We've got to have the resources to finish the race. But those endorsements mean a lot. Your endorsement meant a lot. Jim Jordan's coming to Fredericksburg, Texas. I'm really close to there right now out in Bernie, Texas, in the Hill Country. He's coming out this weekend to do an event for me with some strong conservative activists in the Hill Country. And we're just doing everything we know how to do to get our message out around the district that help is on the way. It's time that we send some people to Washington who are actually going to do what they said they would do, stand up to make Congress work for us again. These are the things that the American people are clamoring for, and I can tell you for sure it's what the people of Texas are clamoring for.
And I can tell the people in your district, the 21st District of Texas, the people in the state of Texas, and the people who listen to this program all over the country that you are the real deal. And you've been the real deal since the day I met you. And I'm hoping Levinites out there, you can donate just even a little to Chip Roy. Go to chiproy.com, and you'll have all the information there, chiproy.com. I would strongly encourage you, if you're going to get involved in a race, this is one of the races you really should support, and you'll see. Years ago, I told you about Mike Lee. Nobody heard about Mike Lee. I told you about Ted Cruz. Nobody heard about Ted Cruz. I told you about Rand Paul. Nobody heard about Rand Paul, and so forth. Chip Roy is a very, very important voice, the future of the conservative movement in this country. He needs to be in the House of Representatives to fight these people. chiproy.com. America, if you can help them, even with a little donation, I hope you will. And good luck to you, Chip.
Mark, thank you. Thank you for all you're doing. Your show on Fox is great. Your radio show is great. You're a voice for freedom, and we need you doing what you're doing. And thank you for that voice of support, and for all your listeners who've supported me in previous Levin surges. God bless you, my friend.
And God bless you, too. And we'll be right back. Chip Roy is running against an individual who served in the United States military, but he's an individual who supports slashing the United States military. He's an individual who does not believe in peace through strength. He's an individual who supports a radical anti-Israel organization called J Street, and we're finding this more and more among Democrats. So I hope the people in Texas will keep this in mind, too. He's running against a leftist. He's running against a leftist. And Chip Roy is anything but. He is, if you had to create a conservative who you wanted to represent you in the House of Representatives, and I speak to the entire country about this, you'd want him. You might say, well, that's not my district. Well, as you well know, because you listen to this show, these individuals vote on matters that affect you and affect your family. So he may not be in your district, but he is in your Congress if we can get him there. So this is this 21st District in Texas where you have a marvelous, an outstanding individual. And by the way, he's a cancer survivor, too. I just mentioned that so you understand how all this campaigning isn't necessarily the healthiest thing he can do, but he's doing it because he's sincerely committed to this republic. And that is Chip Roy.